All right, welcome to the Big House. We have just completed all of the Class B quarterfinal games for the first day, so we'll go over exactly what happened here and set you up for tomorrow's Class A games, followed by the semifinal games in Class B. The first game of the day featured Hammond and Mountain View Godibo on the Class B girls side, and it was another show by Henley West. She put on quite a show last year, leading her team to the state championship. She had 25 points, 16 rebounds, and 5 blocks this morning for the Warriors. They played incredibly well. They knocked off Mountain View Godibo 47-42. The girls' game's much more competitive than the guys' games. Edwina Piwo had 10 points for Hammond. They only shot 5 threes in the game. They were content to go inside and got the win today. Mountain View Godibo had a poor shooting second half. They led the game actually at halftime, led by 1 after 3. And Mountain View Godibo has a great season. They finished 27-2 on the girls' side. So Hammond advances to the semifinals where they will face Lomega, a team that they faced in the championship game from a year ago, and a team that they'll be looking for some revenge against after losing in their tournament in the finals earlier in the season. Lomega jumped out in this one in the first quarter, 17-8. Abby Swart had 19 points. Chloe Meyer had 9. And a typical Lomega performance, when Lomega is shooting threes well, they're a really tough team to beat. They were 8 of 22 from behind the arc and pulled away to win in the second half, 52-41. Kiowa has a good season. The Cowgirls finished 24-9. And again, we've got that championship rematch in the semifinals coming up on Friday between Lomega and Hammond. Other games on the girls' side, the third game of the day, Dover and Turner. Dover comes in the top seed, and the Harveston twins were great today. They had 21 points for Caitlin, 16 for Carly. Riley Buck had 17. That's almost all of the points, 54 of the 62 points for Dover. But another game that was close and all the way through. Turner led after the first quarter. Dover was 1 at half, 14 points for Addison Lee and Adlin Lee, each for Turner, who has a good season. The Turner team finishes 28-5, but it is Dover moving on to the semifinals. And another team that was at the state tournament a year ago, Lakiba Sickles, downs Arnett 49-43. Ellie Willard has been doing it for a long time. She had the best, second best game of the day on the girls' side, I guess, consider what Henley West did. She had 30 points, played really good on defense, had a lot of shots defended. Maddie Barger, 8 points. Lakiba Sickles didn't shoot the three well. They were only 5 of 21 from the field. Landry Bayless led Arnett in defeat, 21 points. Arnett shot just 33% from the field. So Arnett finishes the season 27-6, and we got really good semifinal matchups between Dover and Lakiba Sickles, Hammond and Lomega, and I think those can go either way. Of course, if you look at Lomega, they lost early in the season. The first game of the season, as a matter of fact, 1st of November, lost at Dover by 20. Their only other loss was to Sealing, the Class A top seed, and last year, Lakiba Sickles avenged some defeats them out and Godibo. So it's going to be a really good semifinal there. On the boys' side, tonight, as you hear the Wilson team kind of hooping it up in the tunnel there, not many competitive games. Calumet shot the ball extremely well from the field. If they're going to do that, they're going to be tough to beat. It's the best ever record from Calumet Chieftains team. Glenn Miller of the El Reno Tribune told me that. No Calumet team has ever been 30-0, and that's what they are right now. Hunter Arnold hit 3 threes in the first quarter. He had 17 points, balanced scoring all the way across the board. Brendan Voss, a freshman, came off the bench and I thought provided some really good defense, and he ended up with 15 points. I know John Hadley's team is young and feels like the best is still in front of this Barnum Whippet squad, and I thought they played hard, tried to keep in the game. I was impressed with C.J. Bernard, who put on a shooting display. He's got a great stroke. He had 26 points in defeat, but Calumet looked like the top seed, winning 75-55. So they advance on to the semifinals where they will face Leedy. It'd be a Northwest Oklahoma matchup between Calumet and Leedy in the semifinals. Alex Kadavy had 24 points, and I thought he just dominated the game. Once he got going in the second quarter, his rebounding, his defense, helping getting his team into transition, his ability to finish was a difference maker. Luke Puffenbarger came alive in the fourth quarter to get his point total to 13. He was held to just 2 in the first half. But Leedy has size, and they're tough. Not a ton of depth on that team. Only the starters scored in the game, and so they're going to get the task to try to hand Calumet their first defeat of the season, and that'll be a big chore on Friday. But the size that Leedy has could give Calumet some issues. The final 2 games of the night, the first one, Duke and Braggs. This was a game that featured a bunch of turnovers. It took Duke a while to get going, but I'll tell you this, that the Braggs team had a hard time on offense, just getting the ball anywhere in the vicinity of being able to score. Duke's defense was overwhelming, whether it be in the 2-2-1 press or even in the half court. They did not have a good offensive night. They didn't shoot the ball particularly well. They had quite a few turnovers in the game. And so I think that I can expect a little bit better offensive effort from Duke in the semifinals. They have not lost to a Class B team this year. They're now 22-0 against those teams, and overall 29-1. So that's a good basketball team that I think is going to make other teams. It's going to be very difficult for them to score. So the Duke Tigers move on to the semifinals, and they'll get this Wilson team who same kind of effort tonight. They forced turnovers on Frontier, who's a good basketball team, very well-coached basketball team with a lot of experience playing together, and the Shelburne brothers are something else. I think that's going to end up being the story of the tournament so far if Wilson can advance past the Duke game. But that's a titanic matchup, 28-2 for Wilson, 29-1 for Duke on Friday, and you can flip a coin. These two teams are very similar in the way they get up and down the floor, and it should be a heck of a game. And for the rest of Class B, I mean, good luck dealing with the Shelburne brothers, who have a couple of freshmen. I think another brother coming on the way. Young team, underclassmen, scored all the points tonight in that game for Wilson. So tomorrow, Class B or Class A, first game out of the chute tomorrow morning is going to be Sealing taking on Allen. We ought to have a lot of great games tomorrow in the Class A bracket. Those teams very familiar with each other. There are 6 teams, that were in the Class A boys bracket from a year ago. And, of course, we have Caddo and Sealing in the Class A girls bracket that played in the finals last season, too. Sentinel was in the Class B tournament. They're now in the Class A tournament. A lot of people feel like they've got a good chance to win the Class A tournament this year, even after moving up from a year ago. But this is the best basketball of the season. You got the small school state tournament, all the people here at the Big House. You've got area tournaments all over the map with teams trying to punch their ticket to the state tournament. So get out here and see some basketball. We'll continue to do some wrap-ups and previews here from the Big House for you on Squirtle TV. Everybody have a great Wednesday night and get locked in for more hoops coming up here from the Big House.